welcome to the November installment of Res Ducis following the audio commentary format that was so popular last month. We join the fight in progress in what I call inside middle range, where the classic Asgardian wants to do most of his fighting. Both fighters are able to comfortably throw blows without the opponent simply leaning back to void. Any closer and they will be in close range where the opponent can more easily foul attacks or gain control of the weapon, or the arm has to move to avoid obstacles in order to swing. As a result of center grip shields today, we tend to spend more time at the outside edge of middle range where voiding becomes more viable, or at long range where most attacks will involve the body moving forward. Here we have a classic middle range standoff position. Jebe starts by throwing an onside cut, which Baldar tent blocks, and then follows with the ubiquitous offside body and Molinet combo. They're now at the outside edge of close range. Jebe attempts to lean out of the Molinet rather than blocking it, which is a mistake at this range. He tries to open up the distance by taking small steps backward. Baldar doesn't let him. He likes to fight at this range. He uses both his sword and his shield in combination to create a good tight defense while waiting for Jebe to create an opening. Jebe opts for the offside cut this time. Baldar blocks it with a house block. And once he realizes it's not part of a combo, as Jebe resets, he hits him with the Molinet. Not a good starting range versus Baldar. Here we have the shield reaching out towards Jebe's sword arm as he steps in to gain control, followed by a Molinet to table the shield, and the underhanded off-body shot that we're now calling a crosscut, thanks to someone on the Armor Archive who suggested that name. There's the hanging block to block Jebe's lower leg blow that you'll remember from the last video I mentioned Baldar should have used. That time he does it successfully. This time Jebe successfully passes into close range, entering towards Baldar's sword side in order to gain some control with his shield very close to Baldar's shoulder. The sword held high. Baldar throws a leg blow and fades back in order to create some space. As he does, Jebe is prepared for Baldar to peek and hits him with an onside hit. Jebe's position to Baldar's shield side gives him a good view of the leg blow as it comes in. As Baldar is forced to defend his head with his shield, he's temporarily blinded, allowing Jebe to wait for the shot. Here you see Baldar's hand remains high following the Molinet, no interest in throwing the crosscut because of Jebe's defensive position, prepared to counter. Jebe closes once again. He wants to go for Baldar's arm, but instead of going directly for it because Baldar's shield is close enough to his own arm, he decides to fake low first in order to try and draw the shield down. But Baldar maintains pressure on the arm, causing Jebe's shot to go high, and then throws a nice Molinet from underneath the sword. That throwing of the Molinet from contact with the sword is an important part of the Asgard style and is an important thing we learn from the drills. We see Jebe attempting something that neither Baldar nor myself would ever teach him because of the extensive leaning that's kind of antithetical to wanting to control the fight. Our former student Thorsten has used this quite effectively at times, but Thorsten leans a little bit further down. Jebe, because he's more upright, is forced to keep the shield high enough to allow Baldar to strike him in the leg. Nice attempt at a thrust, but unfortunately caught on the edge of the shield. But he's going to hold his position momentarily, fake low, and catch Baldar with a nice little back cut. Not very hard, but still right on the chin. One of the secrets to Baldar's fighting style is the constant threat of the Molinet to the eye. Very difficult to block with a shield without blinding yourself, which forces a sword block, which tends to kind of limit the off. Jebe throws a jab a la Duke Branos, which normally would be a safe technique, but from this close of a range versus Baldar's Molinet, even a small sword movement out of position makes you open to that Molinet. It's watching that aspect of Baldar's fighting that caused me to develop my own back cut. I can't threaten the eye the way he can with the Molinet, being a lefty, and I try to accomplish the same thing using a back cut. To maintain that same threat level and help to control the fight, especially during medium to medium-long range fights. Classic Baldar off-body, akin to a pendulum with the setup, going directly into the armpit. As mentioned back in September, we prefer feints to fakes, meaning a blow in motion should generally be completed, but in this example, aborting a shot serves Jebe well. A big fake vertical shot draws Baldar into a combo, but because Jebe aborts early, he's able to recover his sword quickly enough to turn this exchange into a double kill. On the other hand, if you look at that fake again, if he'd thrown it with intent, he might have just hit Baldar at the start. Coming up, we have a good example of the changes that have happened as a result of center grip shields. Here, as this combo develops, you'll see Baldar blocking the arm and pushing forward with the shield, causing Jebe's sword to go high. In the old days, his shield would have been much closer to him and he would have actually blocked the tip of the sword. As it is, he simply blocks the cup hilt. And again, he establishes contact with the arm with his shield, A slight pressing movement is all that's needed to nullify Jebe's offense. We have a fairly long exchange here. You'll notice that Baldar pulls his shield back and uses his sword momentarily to defend himself, leaving his shield in a relatively neutral position with the intent of reaching out at the right time to grab control of Jebe's arm. Because Jebe didn't go as offside as he wanted him to, he pulled the shield back up and threw a vertical shot as a check. Had Jebe gone offside, the press would have caused him to lean over and Baldar would have hit him in the armpit again. Here we have a nice Molinet. You notice the angle of that. The shield was in no way blocking it. Caught the little tip of the cup hilt there, but because of the angle of the Molinet, even though Jebe's shield was high, it wasn't protecting him at all. This time, again, the shield is in the way of a vertical or a horizontal shot, but not in the way of the Molinet. And since the sword was out of position, he gets him again. Thanks for watching. The next video will be myself versus Jebe with commentary.